The 3rd millennium BC was the age when humanity crossed a threshold that it could never return from. The quiet river valleys of earlier millennia now roared with ambition. Stone monuments reached for the heavens, armies marched under banners of kings, and scribes pressed the memory of nations into clay and stone. Across the Nile, the Tigris, the Euphrates, and the Indus, humanity no longer lived with the land, it began to rule it. By 3000 BC, the earliest city-states of Sumer had already flourished for centuries. Villages had become cities, and cities had become centres of organised government, religion, and writing. Uruk, once a cluster of farming communities, was now a city of whitewashed temples and towering ziggurats. Clay tablets recorded the movement of goods, the payment of wages, and the laws of kings. Each symbol carved into wet clay marked not just an account, but the birth of history itself. In Sumer, the gods were everywhere. In the storms, in the rivers, the stars. Temples rose at the centre of each city, their terraces stacked high above the streets, as if climbing toward heaven. The priestly class managed food storage, trade, and ritual, binding religion and governance together. Around them, the world of the first urban cities unfolded. Merchants bartering in markets, scribes hunched over clay, and farmers hauling grain through city gates. Civilization had rhythm now, the ordered hum of an organised society. But in this crowded landscape, peace was rare. The same canals that brought life to the cities also sparked rivalry. Uruk, Lagash, Kish, each city sought dominance over the others. Stone stelae and clay inscriptions recorded wars fought not by raiders but by kings commanding professional armies. Around 2500 BC, King Anatunum of Lagash carved the victory of the steel of the vultures, showing ranks of soldiers marching in formation. Warfare had become institutionalized, and with it came the first empires. The dream of empire would soon be realized, a few centuries later, by Sargon of Akkad, a figure both historical and mythic. Rising from humble origins, Sargon forged alliances, crushed rivals, and united the Sumerian city-states under a single banner at around 2300 BC. He called himself the King of the Four Quarters, the ruler of all lands under the heavens. From his capital in Akkad, he extended his power from the Persian Gulf to the Mediterranean. The Akkadian Empire became the first in recorded history, an organised, multi-ethnic state ruled by central authority. The world was changing fast. For the first time, people understood the scale of what human power could achieve. Bureaucrats managed taxation systems that reached across hundreds of miles. Armies were fed and equipped through state infrastructure. Royal daughters were married to neighbouring kings as a political strategy. Clay tablets from the time record not just business transactions, but also hymns, myths, letters, including some written by Enudana, the daughter of Sargon, who became the world's first known author. Yet the glory of Akkad was not eternal. Droughts, internal revolts, and invasions by nomadic groups known as the Gutians broke the empire apart. Around 2150 BC, the once mighty Akkad crumbled. But in its place, a new Sumerian power rose, the third dynasty of Ur. The city of Ur, rebuilt and expanded under King Ur-Nammu, became the capital of a renewed civilization. Its rulers developed the earliest known law code, predating Hammurabi's by centuries. The ziggurat of Ur, still standing in modern Iraq, remains a colossal testament to the ambition of this age, a mountain of brick built for the gods. While Mesopotamia rose and fell, another civilization on the banks of the Nile was reaching its zenith. Egypt's Old Kingdom, around 2680 to 2180 BC, was the age of the pyramid builders. The unification of Upper and Lower Egypt under the early pharaohs had brought centuries of stability, allowing the kings to channel immense resources into construction of eternal monuments. The Step Pyramid of Djoser at Saqqara, designed by the architect Imhotep, was the first of its kind, a towering symbol of divine kingship. Soon, even greater ambitions took form. At Giza, Pharaoh Khufu commissioned a pyramid so vast it would remain the tallest human-made structure for nearly 4,000 years. Each block, each hall of stone, spoke of an organised society capable of staggering feats. Tens of thousands of workers, farmers during the flood season, laboured under the supervision of skilled artisans, engineers and priests. Contrary to old myths, they were not slaves but citizens working for rations, housing and the glory of their king. The Great Pyramids became more than a tomb. It was a declaration of Egypt's divine order, a monument to the belief that the pharaoh was a god on earth. Daily life in Egypt reflected this harmony between the divine and the practical. Along the riverbanks, farmers tended barley and emmer wheat, while fishermen and craftsmen supplied the markets. Scribes recorded harvests and taxation, their ink-stained reeds preserving a kingdom's memory. The Nile's steady rhythm made Egypt predictable in a way Mesopotamia never was. Where the Tigris and Euphrates flooded unpredictably, often with destruction, the Nile's gentle rise and fall gave Egypt a sense of cosmic order. The concept of ma'at, balance, justice and harmony, shaped not only religion but governance itself. As Egypt's power grew, it extended its reach beyond its borders. Expeditions sailed south to Nubia for gold and ebony, east to Sinai for copper and turquoise. Across the desert, traders carried linen and papyrus in exchange for cedar from Lebanon or lapis lazuli from as far away as Afghanistan. The world was becoming interconnected, a network of trade that stretched across thousands of miles. But even divine kingdoms could falter. Around 2200 BC, Egypt's Old Kingdom began to fracture. Droughts struck the Nile Valley, harvests failed, and provincial governors, the nomarchs, began to assert independence. The once unshakable Pyramid Age gave way to political chaos, marking the beginning of Egypt's first intermediate period. Yet even as the central state collapsed, the Egyptian spirit of order endured. Regional rulers maintained temples and tombs, preserving the memory of divine kingship until reunification, which would come again in the Middle Kingdom. Meanwhile, far to the east, another great civilization was flourishing, one shrouded in mystery. In the fertile plains of the Indus River Valley, cities like Harappa and Mohenjo-daro rose in geometric precision. Streets ran in perfect grids, lined with brick houses that had indoor plumbing and drainage systems, a marvel even by modern standards. The uniformity of weights, measures, and bricks across hundreds of miles suggests highly organised central authority. Unlike Egypt or Mesopotamia, however, the Indus civilization left no grand monuments to kings or gods. Its script, still undeciphered, hides the secrets of its rulers and beliefs. What we can see speaks of a society deeply invested in urban life, trade, and balance. Seals bearing intricate animal motifs, unicorns, bulls, and elephants have been found as far west as Mesopotamia, showing that these cities were part of a vast commercial web. Ships likely sailed from the Indus Delta to Sumerian ports along the Persian Gulf, carrying timber, spices, and gemstones. The Indus world was peaceful, stable, and enduring, but by around 1900 BC, it too began to decline. Climate change, river shifts, and the gradual drying of the Saraswati River likely played a role. The cities were abandoned, their streets slowly reclaimed by dust and silence. Yet their legacy, urban planning, sanitation, and trade, would echo through every civilization that followed. As these river civilizations thrived, other regions stirred with new life. Across Anatolia and the Aegean, early Bronze Age cultures began to flourish. In Crete, the first Minoan settlements emerged, their palaces filled with painted frescoes and storerooms brimming with grain and oil. Trade connected the islands of the Aegean with Egypt and the Near East, forming a maritime network that carried not just goods, but ideas, writing systems, artistic styles, and myths. To the north, in the Eurasian steppe, new peoples mastered the horse and the wheel, transforming travel and warfare. Bronze weapons and chariots appeared, reshaping how battles were fought. This technological revolution, though gradual, marked the dawn of a new world, one where movement, migration, and conflict would define the coming centuries. By 2000 BC, the map of civilization looked very different from that of 1,000 years before. Empires had risen and fallen, but the foundations they built were unshakable. Writing had become the tool of kings and merchants alike. Monumental architecture dominated the landscapes of Egypt and Mesopotamia. Trade linked continents. The idea of the city, a permanent, organised, thriving centre of human life, was now the norm, not an exception. The 3rd millennium BC was not merely a chapter in history, it was the forging of civilization itself. In the deserts of Egypt, the temples and pyramids still stood as eternal symbols of divine kingship. In the plains of Mesopotamia, the ziggurats of Ur reached towards the sky. In the Indus Valley, the silent streets of Harappa bore witness to the power of order and community. Each of these civilizations faced challenges, droughts, invasions, internal strife. Yet together they defined what it meant to be human, to build, to believe, to remember. The world had become connected by trade and ambition, but also by shared knowledge, metallurgy, architecture, writing, and art, all born from the same spark of ingenuity. And so, as the sun set on the year 2000 BC, humanity stood poised for its next great age. The old kingdom had fallen, the Sumerian cities had waned, and the Indus world had grown silent. But from their ashes would rise new powers, the Middle Kingdom of Egypt, the Babylonian empires of Mesopotamia, and far to the west, cultures that would one day give rise to Greece and Rome. The first empires had risen, the first kings had ruled, the first cities had sung with life. Civilization had proven itself resilient. The fire that, once lit, would never again go out. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.